So in today's video, I'm going to be doing a product roundup of all my favourite car detailing chemicals that I've tried over the past year. So this ranges from sort of shampoos, wheel cleaners, up to polishes, protection products and stuff like that. So I've tried to cover pretty much everything in this video. So some of the products that I'm going to be listing here are ones that I haven't tried before and they're new to me in 2024. And some are old favourites that haven't been knocked off the top spot. So I'm starting off here with my favourite wheel and tyre products. And I've tried to follow the process of kind of the order of chemicals that I would use. So in most categories, I've got two of my favourite products. In some categories, I've just picked the one. So I've tried to give a bit of a range. So hopefully there's some that you can look out for and find and maybe purchase of your own if you are looking for recommendations. So I've got two products here and they are quite different from each other. So first of all, I have Infinity Wax Incinerate, which is a very strong alkaline wheel cleaner. This works great on tyres too actually, but I generally tend to just use it on alloys. And it's really good if I'm struggling with very stubborn brake dust. It shifts pretty much anything. It potentially will struggle if the brake dust has been baked on there for sort of 3 years plus, but otherwise it really does tend to shift pretty much anything. You can also dilute this down to about 1 to 25, so if you are looking for something more on a maintenance scale, then you can use it there too. So it is quite a versatile one and a product really that I always feel like I have to have in my collection. And next up we have this one, which is Garage Therapy's Wheel Shampoo. Products that I've used for the past 3 years, and it's something that I use on every maintenance wash, pretty much on my own vehicle unless I'm trying other stuff out. It's just a great product if you have wheels that are well maintained and you're just looking for something that's gentle, going to offer plenty of kind of slickness so you're not causing really any marring when you're cleaning the wheels. Can be used to maintain tyres as well. And if you are keeping on top of your vehicle, looking after it, then this is a really good one to try out. I usually use it in an IK pump foamer, but you can use it in a foam cannon as well and also in the bucket too. So next over here I have my strong tyre cleaners. Now of course you can use all-purpose cleaners diluted and other kind of chemicals, citruses and things like that to clean tyres. However, if I'm dealing with very grubby vehicles, I do find that these products are really effective and typically only take between sort of 1 and 2 hits on the tyre to bring them back up to pretty much as clean as you can get them really. So the two that I've picked are Yum Undress and CarPro Retire. In terms of my favourite out of the two, it is really hard to pick, but I'd probably give the edge just to CarPro Retire, as it does have a sort of foaming trigger spray, so it is quite nice to use and it does help you really sort of see the dirt being pulled out of the tyres. But both of them are absolutely brilliant, and if you're needing something to really deep clean a tyre, then these are really good options to look at. So next up, I'm moving into the pre-wash category. So I'm going to start things off with the citruses, and I've got two here to show you. So I've got Shiny Garage Citrus Oil first to start with. So this is kind of a cross between a citrus and a traffic film remover. I typically only use this on vehicles which are pretty neglected and have a really sort of thick layer of traffic film on them. For general maintenance, I think this is too strong, even when diluted. Obviously you can dilute it quite a bit, but I prefer to use something else. It is bordering on that sort of caustic range, so if you're dealing with something really grubby, perfect. But for general maintenance, something a little bit lighter is going to be a better option. But this product will pretty much deal with anything you throw at it. So it is a really good one for me to have and something that I do use quite frequently. The next one I've got here is a little bit better for maintenance if you are dealing with cars that aren't quite as neglected, maybe your own vehicle or maybe you're looking after your friends and families, or even if you're looking after clients' vehicles on a more regular basis. Yum Citrus is a cracking option to go for. I usually dilute it down to about sort of 1 to 9, and I find that this pretty much deals with anything if the vehicle isn't absolutely sort of filthy and caked in mud. You can sort of use this up to kind of 1 to 4 and it will really do a very good job and strip through pretty much anything, but where this works at sort of 1 to 9, I find that 1 to 4 is kind of where I'd go with this. This just feels like a safer option, so if you are worried about things like staining trim and stuff like that, then Yum Citrus is a really good one to go for. Just make sure you're diluting it to the right amount. You shouldn't have any trouble with it. Now next onto snow foams, and I've picked 2 different types of snow foams to talk about, my favourite in each of the categories. So I'll start off with the alkaline snow foam, which is really kind of my favourite one, and this is Squid Ink Alka Froth. I've used this for the past couple of years, and in terms of a good cleaning snow foam, I think it's really hard to beat. It has the perfect level of thickness and dwell time. You can leave this on the vehicle for quite a long time, usually sort of up to 10 minutes before rinsing it off. and the cleaning power of it is just fantastic. In terms of a comparison to kind of some big names, I have actually tested this against the Built Amber ones, and I had found that it had slightly better cleaning ability. There wasn't much in it, but it did have a touch better, and it is a bit thicker and slightly more economical as well, particularly compared to Autofoam. The new version of Touchless is obviously a little bit more economical, but it is a really good one to go for if you need a snow foam that just has plenty of kick to it. Next up, I have Yum Foam, which is a pH neutral option. So this is good for maintenance washes, but on really filthy vehicles, obviously something alkaline is really going to be necessary. But the reasons that I really like this one are that it has a good dilution ratio and it also dwells for a very long time. I've left this on the vehicle for up to 15 minutes before actually rinsing it off. And yeah, it's one of those that just really sort of dwells and sticks to anything. So if you're looking for something to layer over the top of a citrus, maybe you're using your citrus on your lower sections to get that extra cleaning power on the dirtier areas, and your roof and your bonnet don't need quite as much, then this is a really good one to extend that dwell time. Or if you're washing your car every week, then this should be sufficient too. So next up, I have 2 shampoos, and these are my pH neutral maintenance shampoos. And both of them are actually new to me this year, but have really impressed me, and I've been reaching for them quite often. So we have Carscope Contact Shampoo and High Definition Detail Pure Cleanse. Out of the two, it is actually really hard to decide my favourite. This one has a really nice scent, but is more expensive. It also has a sort of gloopier, thicker texture, so when you're actually pouring it out into measuring jugs and stuff like that, it's a little bit more difficult to measure out the right amount accurately. But I know people do quite like these sort of thicker shampoos, so it is a really good option in terms of that. This one though has quite a thin consistency. It doesn't affect the slickness of the suds whatsoever, it is still really slick and sudsy. However, it's just a lot easier to measure out. It also is really quite cheap and economical as well. The only real disadvantage to it is that it doesn't really have much of a scent to it. So for a lot of people, they're not going to be bothered. But if you do like a shampoo that smells really nice, then it's probably going to be Contact by Carscope that's going to be the better option for you. Both of them work great for a foamance or in the bucket. Economical dilution ratios of about 15 to 20 ml in the bucket is fine, and a 1 to 10 dilution in a foam cannon if you're using that method too. Now next up, I have my decontamination chemicals, and I've just chosen one from each category here, as I generally don't tend to experiment too much with them, so I haven't tried quite as many products in this particular category. So kicking things off with the decontamination shampoos, I've got 2 from Garage Therapy. These are the best I've tried. Garage Therapy really do know how to make a good shampoo. So I've got Garage Therapy's Zero Decon Shampoo and Zero DMS. So DMS stands for Demineralisation Shampoo. They both kind of tackle different types of contamination. This is really good at stripping all waxes and sealants and can revive ceramic coatings as well. This one is a lot more targeted to mineral deposits, so can help with salt build-up, particularly on ceramic coated vehicles too. So although having 2 different types of decontamination shampoo might seem a little bit excessive, they do both work quite differently, and having both of them in my kit is really useful. So next up we have the sprayable chemicals. So I'll start with Soft 99's Iron Terminator. So this is an iron removal spray, does double up as a wheel cleaner as well. So this just does everything you need it to. It's quite economical, especially if you go for the larger size. Has a good dwell time and it's nice and strong too. Not too much to say about iron removers, but yeah, this one just works well for me. Next up, we have Garage Therapy's tar remover. Again, I don't tend to experiment too much with tar removers. I've been using this one for the past couple of years and it just does everything I need it to. It is probably the most powerful one that I've tried, although I've never caused any damage on surfaces because of it. It's just really nice and powerful, and it usually dissolves most pieces of tar in about 10 seconds. I usually only need to do a second hit if they're absolutely really chunky pieces of tar that have been on there for sort of years. Otherwise though, this takes care of everything nice and quickly. And then we also have CarPro Spotless here, so a dedicated water spot remover. This can be really great for deep cleaning glass. Sometimes I'll use it before applying protection and don't necessarily need to actually polish the glass. It really does depend on the circumstances. But it's good, obviously, if you are experiencing water spots on the paintwork as well. This typically takes care of it quite easily. And it also does feel kind of quite thick and reasonably well lubricated. So that's a definite plus as well if you're spraying anything on the paintwork. And the final products that I've got in the decon category isn't a chemical, but I did feel like it was worth discussing here. So this is the Carbon Collective Clay Block. And there are a couple of reasons why I really like this. So when you first get this, you do actually have 2 clay pads that come with it, so one for light contamination and one for heavier contamination. So that is a really good option to have. Obviously you don't need to sort of purchase them separately and you can just switch between them. The pad that I've got on here at the moment is the soft version, And this probably causes the least amount of marring that I've ever experienced using any clay pads, blocks and actual bars. I do think that that's a massive advantage of it. I've used it on incredibly soft Mazda paint with absolutely nothing on it, and it caused the finest amount of marring, and usually clay bars pretty much tear up Mazda paint. So although it did need a polish, I do think it's probably one of the milder options in terms of marring that I've found. And what I also like about this is it's got a decent surface area, so you're covering it a touch quicker than you would with a clay bar. But you can remove it from the block and actually use it to manipulate around different areas like door handles and things like that usually you'd only be able to do with a clay bar, and using a clay block or pad is a little bit trickier. So this kind of sort of solves and addresses the need to have a clay bar and a clay mitt, and it kind of combines all the advantages into one. So this is a product that I think is really, really handy, and if you're looking for a good solution to claying and want both options of a harder or a softer clay, then it's a good one to look at too. So next on to polishing, and I've just got 3 here to show you. There should be 4 because I have just run out of one and I need to put an order in, so just pretend it's here. But basically it's the Koshemi range of polishes and pads as well. I basically use this system on most vehicles I'm dealing with. I find it nice and easy to work with, it's low dusting, it works really well, and yeah, it just kind of ticks all the boxes for me. And then we've also got the glass polish by Tack Systems. This is a really good option for deep cleaning glass if you're going to be applying a coating. I've used it both by hand and by machine, and it does really help to remove kind of that film that's there that would otherwise prevent glass coatings from bonding properly and can often lead to sort of smearing and things like that. So next up is the category of protection products, and rather than picking 2 of my favourites in everything, I have just picked 1 for most of them. Otherwise I thought that this would get a bit long, this video, and the list would be too long. So I've picked my favourite of kind of each type of protection product, so quick detailer, wax, things like that. So hopefully it should give you a good list to go off. So first off is the wax, and this is Super Gloss Paste Wax by G3 Professional. Now this is a wax that does everything that I really want it to do. It's really nice and glossy and really easy to use. It's very hydrophobic, particularly on application. The only disadvantage of it is that it's not super durable, so you usually get about sort of 2 months out of it before I think it needs reapplying, which is fairly standard, but of course not competing with things like Fuso Coat. So if you are looking for really long lasting protection, then that's obviously going to be a better option. But for a nice glossy, ridiculously easy to use and satisfying wax, I don't think you can really beat this one. So next up we've got this paint sealant category, and I've chosen for this Jana Gloss Parlour, and the reason that I've chosen it, and it was quite difficult to choose because I do have quite a lot of sealants to sort of select from. The reason that I've selected it is because it really is the one where I just reach for if I'm not sort of testing out anything else. It's the one where I just seem to consistently find myself going back to. And I think the reasons for it is that it just is a really good sort of consistent all-rounder. About 3 to 4 months of protection is probably about right for this product. It does have really nice water behaviour. It's nice and easy to apply. It's nice and glossy, works well, particularly on white paintwork. It does seem to make it pop, I don't know why, but it does work really well for lighter colours too. But it just works really well as a nice all-rounder. So yeah, that's kind of the reason I've chosen it, and it's the one that I find myself reaching for the most often. Next up we've got Geon Wet Coat, which is a go-to for me for topping up existing protection. I've been using it on my car, which is ceramic coated, quite often, so usually about monthly, and it just seems to keep the protection really nice and fresh. It works really well on wheels too. And in terms of layering it with different products from different brands, it seems to be the one that gets on well most with pretty much anything that I've tried it on. I haven't run into any compatibility issues with this one, whereas with some other spray and rinse sealants I have noticed a couple of issues with kind of streaking and spotting. This one just seems to play really nicely with everything. Next up we've got Yum Foam Plus, which is an option if you don't want to go around spraying and rinsing your sealant off. You can just apply this to the whole car in a foam lance. So a 1:9 dilution of this, rinse it off straight away, is going to leave a nice layer of protection on there. Occasionally, if I'm dealing with a vehicle that has no protection on it, I will double up the layers, so repeat that application process, and it does seem to sort of come alive a little bit more the second time I'm doing it. It's not always necessary though, I don't really know what affects it. But the reason that I've chosen this one in particular is because although there's a lot of spray and rinse sealants out there, this seems to deliver the most in terms of gloss and self-cleaning. I've noticed on the vehicles that I've put it on, they can be driven really kind of hard and look pretty filthy, but then after a decent spell of rain, if the car's just left on the driveway, it does look pretty clean afterwards, and I think that self-cleaning does help to sort of separate it from other products that are on the market. So next up, onto the quick detailer spray, and this one was actually really hard to pick as I do have quite a lot of quick detailers to pick from. But I've chosen Spitfire Collection's ceramic detailer, and the reason I've chosen this are I just think it delivers pretty much everything you'd want it to. About 4 weeks of protection, really nice gloss and slickness, really nice boost to water behaviour, never had any issues with it streaking. It smells nice, and it also has really nice packaging as well, so it's got this kind of metal bottle, nice trigger spray, and it just feels quite premium and quite a nice product to use towards the end of the wash process. So just, again, a bit like Sejana Gloss Parlour is the one that I reach for quite often. Now, next up, I have the glass coatings, and I have chosen two to talk about here, as I do think they are a bit different from each other and will suit different people. So they are both from Soft 99, they're both Glaco coatings, but we've got Glaco Ultra and Glaco DX. Now, Glaco DX is the least durable of the two. Typically you get about 4 to 6 months of this, depending on really how much you're driving it. Whereas Glaco Ultra you can get sort of up to 9 months with, so it is offering a little bit more durability and I think increased wiper resistance. Glaco DX though is a bit more hydrophobic, so it really depends what you want. Do you want something you're going to have to apply a little bit more often but is super hydrophobic, or something which is a touch less hydrophobic but you won't have to apply it as often? Maybe you're driving really sort of high mileage, I'd go with Glaco Ultra, but if you're doing sort of town driving, not driving your car as often, then I would go with Glaco DX. Both of them really great options, really easy to use, and yeah, really can't go wrong with either of them. So next up I have the Tyre Dressing category, which was one of the hardest to pick. I have to admit I stood for about 10 minutes looking at my cabinet deciding which to choose for this category, but I have ultimately settled on these two. So we have Yum Dress and the Carscope Ink V2 Tyre Dressing. And the reason I've picked these two is that I generally tend to gravitate most towards them when I'm not testing stuff out, just cleaning my own car. These are the two that I've been using quite a lot recently. Yum Dress is a little bit different to most tyre dressings in that the focus is as well on the sort of finish of the tyre, but also keeping that sidewall in good condition. It's very similar in that respect to the Garage Therapy Tyre Serum. I actually ran out of that one a little while ago and haven't reordered because I do have quite a lot to work through. So this is the one that I seem to be reaching for the most at the moment. Really nice finish on this. Does have good durability as well and is very easy to apply. This one here by Carscope, so this is Ink V2, is probably one of the most durable that I've tried based on a single application, and it does leave a very nice finish. With it being quite a loose liquid, it does seem to work very well on tyres which have a very textured sidewall as well, but it also does work well if you've got a smoother sidewall like my car. I like it equally on both, so both really good options, really nice finish. I'd say it's probably a touch more than satin, but I wouldn't describe it as a gloss finish, but I think it suits most cars pretty well. So next up I've got glass cleaners, and I've got two here to show you, but they are different from each other. Unfortunately this one is in my IK mini bottle, as I did decant the last amount of it into here, so I don't have the bottle here to show you, but this in here is the Garage Therapy glass cleaner. Just a solid all-rounder, not had any issues with it in both warm and cold weather, doesn't leave streaks and just does what you'd want a glass cleaner to do. This one here is Soft 99's Glaco cleaner. This one, as well as cleaning the glass, will add some protection as well, so for maintaining glass coatings I think it's a really great option. Typically use it on my car every month and I don't really need to apply a glass coating again more than once a year, so yeah, really good option to go for. I have used this on top of glass coatings which aren't the Glaco glass coatings by Soft 99, and it does play well with them too. It has really quite a short flash time, so you don't really have to sort of buff it for too long, but a little goes a very long way. Couple of sprays on the windscreen, quick wipe, flashes off, never left any streaks behind. So pretty cool products that I've been using quite a lot over the past couple of years really. And then the next category that I've got here is interior cleaning. So I'm going to kick things off with my sort of general purpose interior cleaner that does say it's safe to use on any surfaces. I typically tend to use it on fabrics and plastics, as I do like to use separate things on leather. But it is Carscope Canopy Interior Cleaner. This one is great because you can dilute it. I usually find that down to 1 to 4 it'll actually work really well, but it just smells absolutely amazing, foams up nicely, and overall is a really enjoyable product to use. Now this one I've got here is Gion's Interior Detailer. And this is going to be really suitable if you have your own car that you're wiping down once a week, maybe once every couple of weeks, and you keep on top of it and it's always pretty much clean. you just notice sort of the odd fingerprint or a bit of dust that you kind of want to take care of. This is a great product for it as it smells really nice again, which I do think is really quite important in an interior cleaner. And yeah, I've been using this for weekly wipe downs on my own car for quite a while, and it just ticks all the boxes. And then finally here we have the leather cleaner and protection products, and I've gone for the Geist range here. Again, been using this on my own car quite extensively, and I do think it's a system that works very well. It does come in a kit, so this is the 3 Plus kit, so recommended for vehicles that are older than 3 years, and the difference between this and the 3 Minus kit is that the 3 Minus kit doesn't have this product here, which is the leather conditioner. So obviously you would use the cleaner first, the conditioner, and then the dye and friction blocker if your car's older than 3 years, but you can skip this product out if your car is newer. They have quite a nice sort of system where everything does work really well. It does have good cleaning power, this leather cleaner, but they are a company that are kind of a little bit more focused on sort of preservation of the leather. It's not something that's just going to go in really heavy on the leather, really kind of strip it and just potentially damage it. It does offer quite a nice, gentle approach to cleaning leather. So I really like this, been using it on my car for about 1.5 years now, and don't really see any massive reason to change it. So what I am going to do is pop links to all these products in the description so you can check them out if you are looking to purchase some. I would also really like to hear in the comments too, what are your favourite products of the year? Are there any particular stands out? Please drop a comment, I love to hear it. If you have enjoyed this video though, it would be brilliant if you could drop it a like, and thanks very much for watching.